statement. I'm sure everyone feels the same way. So if
I'm
anyone,
excited to speak to all of you.
yes, just like what
Oh,
this Daughter of the Moon Goddess is just an amazing retelling of Asian fantasies. It's got, I think, everything. If you love especially like your Asian drama, you will love this book, because you think like, oh, it's such a small book. Nah, don't be misjudged by it, because there's a lot happening in this book. Like you don't know what you don't know what's hitting you, like literally.
I'm so happy
So
you said that because usually people are like 500 pages. So I'm
nah,
very happy you called it a small book. Yay.
I mean, it's quite big. Okay, anything you would like to add at this point, Sue?
No, except I'm very happy to speak to everyone. Thank you all for making the time this Saturday evening. And I hope that, I can shed a little light about story, what went into it, and talk about anything that interests you guys, basically.
So, I mean, always to start with, I'm always wondering. So, of all the mythologies, especially the Chinese mythologies, you see, like, there's plethora of choices you could have. But what made you choose the Legend of the Moon Goddess? Like, especially Chinese. Like, why chose her?
This is actually a favorite story of mine. It's a
Mm-hmm.
story that's of the Mid-Autumn Festival, and it's something that I celebrated in like every childhood growing up. I remember we would carry like lanterns, we would eat mooncakes, and we'd often hear the story of Chang'e being told, and you would see her image like, on the lanterns or on the mooncake tins, and it would always look so beautiful, but she also always looked a little bit sad.
Yeah.
And I mean, for those of us who don't know, the story goes there are 10 suns that rose in the sky, and the world was dying. And an archer named Ho Yi shot the suns, leaving one to light the earth. And he was given an elixir that if he took it, he would fly to the heavens and become a god. But he didn't want to take it because he didn't want to leave his wife Chang'e. But it was Chang'e who took it instead, flying to the moon. And this is where the stories actually diverge from here. Some say that Chang'e took it because she was trying to save it from a thief. And there were other versions as well that said Hoi became a tyrant, and so she took it because she was saving the people, or maybe she wanted to become a goddess. And for myself, what really stuck with me about this story was just its ending felt so sad to me because, I mean, I believe that Chang'e and Hoi much love. And as the stories go, China chose the moon, apparently, in the world. So she was Hoi. And there were other versions that said Hoi would put out her favorite foods and wine and drink and everything on this
Mm-hmm.
day, the Mid-Autumn Festival, which started, this tradition as well. I believe that it had been a hard decision for her to leave her husband forever and go to a whole new place herself. And I just thought, maybe what if there were more reasons than these reasons that were given? And what if she was doing it to save someone who she loved as much as her husband? And there is no daughter of the moon goddess in the original legend, something that I
Yeah,
looked
yeah, yeah.
up. And I just thought maybe she was doing it to save, her daughter if they had a child. And
Yeah.
yeah, and so literally the first thing that came to me from this one idea was the title of the book, which is Daughter of the Moon Goddess, and the first line, which is there are many legends about my mother. And even though we've done many, many, many rounds of hacking and editing, I mean, these things have always stayed the same.
Yeah, like I think it's always like every time, like especially like you said, the autumn festival is
Yeah.
always widely celebrated because of all the lanterns, especially
Yes.
the moon cake. That's probably one of my favorites.
Oh, mine
And
too.
yes, and I love your take of the moon goddess itself, because it is the story of what a mother and a daughter, the love in
Yes.
itself, the like like Chang'e, like not Chang'e, sorry, Xingyan, of how she's fighting for her mother. And it is like you said, it's quite like if you see fairy tales, most time it ends like in sadness, but there's always a reason why. And I love your take of, oh, maybe like if she sacrificed that to, to for singing for her daughter, which is quite actually very heart touching. As I know you are also a mother, because mother always thinks for their children as well.
I wouldn't mind if my children went through all that, for me. two two-way
Oh
thing
my
and
god.
everything. No, but it's interesting because there is a lot of romance in the book as well, but
Yeah.
I really do think that, the core of this book is really about love. And it's not
Mm.
just, and one big part of that love is actually family love as well, love for your parents,
Yeah.
their love for the children, love for friends as well, and also the romance, of course. So
Mm.
that was a
Yes.
really big part of it for me as well. And because the legend meant so much to me, I
Hmm.
tried to keep as much of the original intact as possible to try and honor
Hmm.
it. And also, writing about her daughter also allowed me to take the story in a completely new direction, something
Hmm.
that, hasn't already been, certain things like written out in stone. And I could just imagine everything that happened from, point A to point B, the start and the ending again. I must remember not to
Yes.
say anything I shouldn't, like spoilers. So let me know
Yes.
if I give away the
No.
ending by accident or something.
No, you're right. Don't worry. We're always gonna stay away. I'll stay. I'll keep you safe. So, um, so we talked about that. So, for instance, I also want to ask you this: what sparked you to make this series, especially as a duology?
Well, it's an interesting one. So when the story first came about, I mean, I wrote Zara the Moon Goddess first, but at
Mm-hmm.
the back of my mind, I always felt that it didn't actually end there. There was a whole other part to it as well, and I was very excited to write it. I can't give too many details here on book two, but I just want to
Yeah.
say that for each of the stories, they feature on a different element of the original mythology, and
Mm-hmm.
both of which I really love as well. And I felt that this was, the whole journey that I really wanted her to take. So, and it's also a vision that my editor, when the book sold, shared, and I was really happy that he also agreed that he wanted it to be duology. So, although somehow
Oh.
we ended up with book 2.5, so
Yes. Yes, I
different
understand
different
that. Well,
story there. Yes.
different story, but it's still on that cell in the same timeline, same realm. So I'll just like, but I call it duology, and that as the novella part of that, I'll
We had
tell
a
you
long
that.
discussion. It's like, is it series now? Is it duology? It's a 2.5.
So far,
The tricky one.
the bookish community still believe that it's a duology, and the other one is like 2.5. So it's like an
Yes,
additional. If you want
yes, that is
extra,
right.
like we'll give you more.
And there's no more coming. That's it. I'm getting questions about
um,
Immortal right now. Like, is it three? No, no.
but yeah, I think like as you said, there's like as a duology as well, it's also good for the different perspective, as especially in China as well. There's something like balance, so the yin and the yang, and then as
Yes,
well, so it also plays the part with the one of them is the moon and the other one is the sun. So
yes,
it's
that's
always
right.
placed
Yes.
in balance.
And I mean, I've got questions also around the title because, the first one is Dar of the Moon Goddess. And I think the second title, Heart of the Sun Warrior, is a little bit more symbolic in a way because I imagine Sun Warrior being like representative of her father, the one who shot the suns. And I imagine like she has, his core of, heroism and bravery and strength as well, right? So
Mm.
that's how it came about. But you're right, there was like a whole sun and moon element to that.
Yes, it's like it's just always like the celestial part, which I always love. So, would you mind telling us more the background story behind writing your book? Like, for instance, when did you start writing the manuscript and where?
Well, I started writing this in Hong Kong because I've
Yeah.
been living here, and
Mhm.
when I started writing, it was just something that really took over all my free time, and I just remember writing very, very intensely. I was writing it every moment I had. When I was traveling, I was writing it on the airplane, and I was writing it
Mhm.
when I was like meant to be on holiday and stuff like that. It was a pretty crazy time for me, and I mean, like authors are all different. Like some of us write, some authors write 4 hours in a day, some write two, some write eight. So it really depends, what works for you creatively and everything. And I just remember back then I was just writing a really quite insane number of hours because I was just really excited about the story. And I just felt that I had so many things to share with it as well. So yeah.
It's just like when you're in that trance, like you're focused,
Yeah, yeah,
like all you can think about is just the book. Like I need to like, no, this is it.
and
And
quite
then there
honestly,
you're
it was
always
new to me. It was all very new to me because I've
yeah,
always loved writing, but it was
yeah.
not something I thought I didn't really think that I would have ideas and I would write something. This I feel like this was really the first book that I really finished writing like end to end. It was really complete in that. So yeah, a lot of it was just learning along the way.
Yeah, especially like Daughter of the Moon Goddess is like your debut novel. So that's probably like where like it's like a big learning curve as well. It's like, oh, this is like
Oh
I need
yes.
to get it right.
No, seriously, it was a huge learning curve. I didn't know anything at that point in time. Maybe it was a good thing I didn't know anything because you kind of went into it. If I knew everything, maybe I'd be like scared and not do anything about it.
But I think it did pretty well, I guess. It was like pretty much like bestseller debut at one point.
Thank you.
So like so did it like for the manuscript, did it take a while so until like it's a finished like manuscript like
You
how
see,
long do you think
here's
roughly?
the thing, right? I mean,
Mm.
I know authors who've taken like 3 months to draft something. I know authors who've taken like years and years and years to do it. And one part of that also is the number of hours you write in a day, right? Like how many
Yeah.
hours you can afford to write. For myself, because I was writing so intensively, I finished it in less than a year. I can't remember how many months, in less than a year. But when you finish the draft, there's like this whole other many, many rounds that you need to get through as
Yeah.
well. It's like really
And
far from done.
so many like
It,
drafts
you
and
know,
edits.
yeah, yeah. It's a joke basically saying that you better like the book you write because you can read it so many times. To give you an idea, like let's say if you try, then maybe your agent looks at it, maybe she has some ideas. Your editor will definitely have many ideas, and then it goes through
Yeah.
like many rounds. After that, there's copy edits as well, and everything. So for myself now, when I finish a draft, I don't actually type the end well because I feel that the draft is still, kind of the shell of the story. So now I only
Mm,
type the end when I'm actually have finished a version of it that I'm actually happy with. So yeah.
mm. And then until the end, you will still question yourself, like, is this right? And then you self question yourself, is this enough? And then sometimes you have to wonder, like, when do I stop?
It's so true. You're never done.
Yes. So
Sometimes the
sometimes, like,
editor's
yeah.
like, don't send her the manuscript anymore. Just send her small little excerpts of questions.
So she never know until which part is the end of the
I'm like,
editing
no,
part.
don't take it back. I'm not sending it.
It's always fun as like readers, especially to learn the process of like publishing a book, especially like from the perspective of the author itself. So it's always quite interesting whenever we
Yeah.
talk about that part, not just the story part, because we can't talk about that because we'll spoil it. So, like, when you write, do you do like because this is the legend, you probably try to get it right, but also try to take in as much and then make it your own. Do you do like long research on and then like you said, you write like oh here and there, probably in the airplane or probably in the cafe or like at home. You take notes here and there, and until you get all the materials you need, and then you start it. Like, what was it, the process
I
for you?
think it's a bit of a combination. Like before I summarize myself with legend, I don't think there isn't as much like historical or fiction. But I was- There were elements truly figured out at that moment. Like small things even that you don't think about. The sound of the apple. So I watched a lot of YouTube videos.
Yeah, I think YouTube is always a good good place to do
Yeah,
research
but
as
yeah, I was watching
well.
like Star Finance as well. Like, what does it sound like when you hit the sword against this? And I don't
Do
know.
you
It's
watch
just
also because as
stuff
the
like
book
that.
always described like it's like watching a Chinese drama. Do you watch a lot of Chinese drama as part of your research as well?
Very important research there. do like watching a lot of Chinese dramas. They're so beautiful as well, right? So the voice is the voice unclear? Can you all hear me?
Is someone saying that like the voice is sort of breaking like apart, like in and out?
Is it breaking in and out?
Now it's
It's good
fine. I
now?
think yeah.
Okay, I'll try not to move my head too much.
I don't think that was the case.
So, what was I
Anyways, yes.
saying?
What were you saying?
So I was saying that as you kind of go on and you're writing a scene, for example, writing about a particular type of pavilion, you want to
Mm,
know. I was in my head, I was like, okay, what type of pavilion is it? What type of like roof structure? Is it curved? Is it slated? So things like that. I think as you go more into detail in the story, then you start to bring out and
mm,
flesh all the details out, right? And I think that really comes into it more during the editing of the book.
mm. Yeah, I can kind of tell like how much details you put in because every time you set a scene, like
Oh
oh,
no.
what like it's no, it's really appreciated. That's why I love part of your world building because it's not just like info dump at the start, which is always sometimes very hefty, but throughout the book you learn more and more, and then the settings changed, and then the way you described it as well, the mood changed. It's all flows very easily. So probably
What?
it's a good
Yeah.
research.
No, I'm so happy you said that because basically when I was doing the world, part of it was trying to imagine like us all discovering it along with her as well. Like the first time
Mhm.
we see, it was kind of like seeing it as
Oh, sorry, Sue. I think it's also breaking in and out again.
really
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's
okay.
when we get the exciting part is when it's breaking.
I will stand very still now. Okay,
Me too,
so
me too. We'll try it
no,
again.
no,
Okay, let's go.
so I mean, just to recap, I was saying that in writing some of the world building, I tried to do it as we were seeing it from Xinyan's eyes when she was going to a
Mm.
new place, how it would look to her, the trees or the plants or what she smelled at it. So that was a little bit of how I tried to do it on the books.
Yes, it's like so because you detail like it's quite a detailed experience. So as part of building the story itself, which one did you develop first? Is it the world building part or was it the outline of the plot?
I think I did a little bit of both because it was important for me to know a rough outline of the world, like
Mm-hmm.
because they were also building to the city. So I like to do that. And sketch what I compare, what the differences might be, what some details might be. And at the same time, I also like to draft outline of plots where they're going to be at certain happen at the same time. So I would say a bit of art to know both the world and the storyline.
Yeah, it's like again because it's just woven very perfectly like throughout the book, so you can kind of tell. So
Thank you.
when like that's why whenever like sometimes author process as well. Oh, there's the story arc over there, and then but as well because Sinian as well is traveling everywhere. He's like traveling everywhere at this point. So I
She's
always
very
wonder
tired
like
now.
she's doing a lot. That's why I always wonder, like, oh, how did she do it? Like, is it the arc or like the plot first, or was it like a little bit? But now I know the story.
I'm also a very visual person, so I tend to
Yeah,
see things in my head and then I tend to write them as well. Every writer is different and
yeah.
everything works for them in different ways, right? But for me that's how I do a lot of things. I see it in my head and then I write it.
So was it like when you did this as part because you said like, oh, you do it together, sort of. Um, so when you do the plot, did you also put like, okay, this is because like you said, your visuals. So maybe you put like some, oh, this is where like the prints of like pictures, like you imagine like the setting. Like did you also put like as a draft? Or sometimes I've seen even authors do a big whiteboard write everything and
Oh,
start plastering it
yeah.
everywhere.
No, no whiteboard. So it's sort of like I'll have like a rough map. And I think on my Instagram you might see the hand. I might have the hand sketched version out of the rough map that I had.
Mhm,
But for the actual details, like the bamboo and the flowers and the building and that, I don't really sketch that out. The Jade Palace, I did do have a rough sketch about that one. But for the
mhm,
rest of it is her walking into a place and
mhm,
what she sees as she goes into a particular area and what she experiences at the same time.
mm. Yeah, that was like always. I love it. So, as part of publishing a book, or like especially this is your debut novel, would you mind telling us how you got your book published? Because
Oh
I'm sure
man.
you've got a quite a story to tell, especially as a like this is your debut novel.
Well, wow, back then it was not easy. To say,
I,
okay, I didn't know anyone in publishing. I didn't know
mm,
anything about publishing. I just knew that I really, really like to write. And
mm,
I hope that what I wrote would become a book one day. I didn't have
mm,
any social media back then either, so there was no Twitter/X, no Instagram or anything. And it was also really hard because I was doing it out of Asia back then. Everything I learned was through like Google. So it was things, for example, I mean, we're very lucky in today, to be able to like access a lot of information easily. So it was things like how to
mm,
write a query letter to an agent or anything like that. So it was really, I didn't know any of this kind of like really supposedly basic stuff or anything. So it was difficult in that sense because it just felt like a mountain that would never ever get climbed at that point in time, to be
mm,
very honest. I never, I mean, I really wanted it, but I didn't happen because all the different like obstacles in the way, and it's just very difficult, and it was difficult. So there were a lot of rejections. I think that is something anyone who's interested in publishing needs to be aware of. And
mm,
it's natural to be very upset about them, but don't let it get you down and try to basically think about maybe they're saying this because of this or something. I don't know. You just have to find a way to not let it pull you down, right? But in the end, there were a few agents who were interested, and I went with Naomi, who I felt like really gelled with the story and my vision. And she took after that happens, is that they take the book. Your agent takes the book on submission, where she tries to
mm.
pitch it to the different editors, whether editors are like at Penguin or Harper or Hachette. And let me tell you, so many said no.
Oh no!
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think yeah.
I'm just gonna backtrack to tell you about the whole experience then, right? So a lot of editors liked it. So we went, it's not just one yes, by the way, it's many, many, many yeses. Because after an editor likes it, then an editor will like show it the team and then they'll show it to like marketing. So a lot of editors liked the story, but when it went to marketing, a lot of them said we don't think this book is gonna sell. Because back then, this is like several years ago, it was
Yeah.
a softer Asian fantasy. It's not quite what they were used to or expecting, and it had a
Yeah.
very large focus on romance. So, and I think
Yeah.
for me, quite used to it at this point in time because they were a bit uneasy about whether marketing. So it was rejected many, many times. But and but I'm so glad that today, though, it seems very different. There's so many beautiful Asian fantasies out there. Sorry. But one editor at Harper Voyager, I still remember the first call I had with him. I just really felt that the story had home. And he said something to me, which I think I'll always remember. He told me that you're a storyteller. And it was the first time anyone ever said that to me. And I think it was the first time I thought that, maybe this is not, it wasn't so impossible after all. So it was really crazy. Um, so that was how it happened. It took a lot of no's and everything. But I was so happy that, the book was published by Harper Voyager. It did a lot better than expected because it like these days their books are so beautiful. They're all the different effects and editions. I love seeing them, right?
Yes.
For all the trade editions. I think back then it was like usually the box subscription, like Fairy Blue edition, amazing edition. So it was a very different reception for certain types of Asian content. So, but then the book did they hit some bestseller lists. They were, um, and but
It
what made
is.
me so happy was the Goodreads Choice Awards thing. I think I mean, we didn't win, but we were in the finals for best debut and fans. And I think we came second for we came second for best debut, and I just cried because I just saw the number of people who did, I didn't think it was possible. It was really something that I didn't happen. I think the publisher was also surprised. So yeah.
Yeah, I think as an author, especially like I'm not an author, but seeing the story of like when a book got published, because I also follow like a couple of indie authors, so it's always like they're always different, but it's always similar. Like a lot of rejection, and then it's always
Yes.
like this happening, and
It
then
is.
yes,
It is. I tell you, it was very disheartening. And there were so many times when I just felt that this is just not going to happen. Right. So
mm,
it's just, and the first rejections I think are the hardest. Do you know what I mean? But
yeah. It's like when you're still young and you still like all this blanket of the world, like oh everyone's gonna, and then someone's gonna break that bubble first. It's always the hardest, but
yeah,
you
no,
always
but
remember it. It's like, and then you make it like, no, I can do it more, and then you become more excited.
no,
That's
I think it's also like having to learn how to find certain ways to deal with it yourself. Like for example, once some rejections are nice, some not nice. I think I got one, and I didn't want to, and I just read it, and I just couldn't do anything for a while. I just put it away and didn't think about it for a long time. But then you come back to it. I think if you love it enough, you come back and you find a way to make it stronger, basically, or to make it work for you. So.
yes. As I'm gonna touch point as well. Like you said, back then it was quite different as today's with, especially like you. This is the a retelling of an Asian folklore. Because
Yes.
at that point, like even to this day, there's still a lot of retelling, fairy tale retelling, but it's always like a Cinderella retelling, the Nutcracker, Sugar Plum, or a Beauty and the Beast. So when I see this and then I read the excerpt of it, I was like, this is like something fresh, but also something familiar for us, which is always welcome. And then from this, and then we've got all these different choices, all these different Asian authors also coming out with these amazing books. So
Yes. Yes.
probably you also play a part of the starting of that journey.
No, but
It's
I'm no, I don't know, but I'm very happy to see, it's there really been a really warm reception to all the Asian authors everywhere now, right? So especially the last few
yeah,
years, we have authors from, Singapore, we have authors from Indonesia, from Philippines as well. So it's really been really, really wonderful and heartwarming to see.
there's please, if you ever like this, because like I said, there's a lot of Chinese mythology if you want to pick it's always one of the choices. And we always gonna welcome as it's, and it's always like, especially with the dragons, because
Ah,
with the dragons, this one is not a spoiler because I mean you can't talk about Chinese mythology or even just Asian without talking about dragons, because the Chinese dragon and as well like Western side of the dragon is quite different.
very
Like
different. I'm
I'm
so
I'm
glad
not
you brought
sure
that up.
because it's also part of coincidence before like all these events happening, because this year is also Year of the Dragon as well.
Oh, yes, there's so many famous
Yes,
dragons. No,
yes,
I had so much fun riding the dragons actually in Dora the Moon Goddess. It was, for me, I really wanted to make them like Asian dragons. Well, more
mm,
like, because the Western dragons tend to be the fire-breathing, want
mm,
treasure and very, very fierce, like to kill people and eat. Whereas like the dragons tend to be wise and they tend to be fire. And what was interesting is that they don't have wings, as in for Chinese
yes,
dragons. So
the
it was kind
wings,
of,
yes.
yeah, the wings thing. So I'm trying to think about how the dragon is flying. Just
They just fly through the clouds.
yeah,
And especially even the shape, because the Western side, they're more like four-legged or two-legged wyverns and stuff. Um and but the Chinese one is different. They're more elongated. It's like active
yes,
like a snake. This is
yeah,
also
yeah.
part of
They
the
do it like that,
coincidence.
basically,
I
right?
have
Oh,
this.
you have
I
a
have
dragon.
it was a total
Very
coincidence because
cool.
of this is Year of the Dragon. I got the Lego Year of the Dragon as well because I love dragons. And then when I read this, I was like, probably it's meant to be.
Good placement of the dragon.
And as well, like the essence of the dragon, like you said, it's like usually the Western bar is just like all fire breathing and stuff. But with the Asian one, it just happens, it's just magic. Like they
Yes.
have their own, they have their own ways, and then the way they also think is also more like like god, like the goddess. Like they have their own thing, they have their own hierarchy up there. Like even when you said like in the god and the goddesses, they're out of reach. They're their own entity.
No, and the dragons as well, like worship last well, and they were said to have powers. Interesting was how they were actually like had powers over the ocean and water and everything, and how different that was. And some said they could actually cause floods and everything. So there is a myth about dragons that's in Door of the Moon Goddess, and it's actually based on a real myth as well. I don't think I'm going to detail about it, but but it's a story that I really enjoyed. It's about water as well, rain and stuff.
Yeah. Yes. Oh. We can't go about that.
Oh my God, we've gone on a tangent now.
So someone commented, okay, we're gonna reach the part, well, dragons are one of the characters. Now we reach the part the most like I think any readers who read this would love to know. This has been debates, discussion, fandom, a lot of playlists as well on Spotify.
Oh goodness.
So
I'm gonna search
as
for all of them
the
now after this.
you can also look at Reddit as well if you want. But as
Heard about that one,
now
by the way.
now I have the author herself. I'm gonna ask this question between Liwei and Wenches. I
Oh
hope I
no.
pronounce it correct. Which one is your favorite? Yes, yes, I know it's a difficult question. It's like
Yeah.
picking a favorite child, especially as the author. So,
It's like
so
favorite
like,
cover, that level.
so
Kidding.
I'm just the
Hmm.
messenger here. I'm just just like I mean I want to know, but I'm just a messenger.
I think I see the person asking the question right now. Hi, Bonnie. I mean, it's really hard to answer this one without without spoilers here, right? And I'm going to be very honest. I do really like both in different ways because they're very, very different. And I think depending on who you are as well, like there's basically it depends whether you will like one or the other depending on who you are or what you're looking for. Like in my mind, Li Wei is well, he's powerful, he's strong, he's noble, he's like a classic hero prince and he's
Mm,
someone and he's good, right? He will choose the good of the world. He's someone who will do the right thing, and that is also like right, right? In a more roundabout way, more great. And whereas like Winchester is, and he is someone who has struggled a lot in life. In some ways, it shaped him. He's had different choices, and I wonder if it's also made him stronger. And he is definitely he's definitely character where in the world that in that context. It depends. And I'm gonna like kind
yes.
of like and what I'm just gonna say is that, when I write this when I wrote these books, I just think about love as being something that is it's basically really hard to define. Something that changes along the way. And what we think it's is that we feel time is something which may evolve with us, right? And who the characters are at the start may not be who they are at the end of it. Because I believe that going through some of these experiences actually shape the person that you are because you can't go through all these things without it changing. So I hope there's no spoilers there. I should probably stop.
I will.
I should
I
probably
think
stop
I think
on
we
this.
just
I've
like
probably like not made
skimming.
anyone happy right now. Like
We just I
answer.
think we just yeah we just barely just like without actually spoiling anything because I was like kind of it's like yeah.
Safe zone.
But yes, I love your take. It's like Leeway is probably like your if you read a book, it's just like oh, you already know that's the hero character. That's like the prince. who like the good prince who wants to do best, and then you've got Lil Winter, where we found out later on who he is and his struggles. And I always believe that there's always two sides of every story.
Yeah.
And then and then like people sometimes, most time actually, they they are who they are because of what happened in the past, or they must have a reason. So like I said, it's still a debated discussion. Like you see probably like the
I
comments like
really do like both though. So I'm always so happy when someone tells me they like either Liwei or Wencha. I'm sad. I'm a
mm.
little bit sad they say they don't. But I am always very, very happy when someone tells me that like one of them or both of them.
But yeah, maybe you should right, like if you go down the rabbit hole, you will see like a lot of discussion like, no, this one is better, and the other one, no, this one is better. And so far, and especially with the fantasy girlies, they like to the morally gray character, we call it. The morally gray character is always the like always more favorite. Like, nah, he's too like there's not enough drama for that one. It's like so it's always, yeah, it's still debated. Like even like people in the
Oh,
comments like, oh, I'm Team Liu and the other one's not Vincent for me.
I
It's
think
like
I'm
if
gonna
you
be
don't
quite
want it,
scared
I'll
of the
take it.
comments. Because I'll be like, oh no.
Yeah, so after we've covered so far a lot of the aspects of the books. So which part, when you were writing it, which part of the immortal realm in the series that you're happy to write about it?
You mean in terms of the world, like which part of the
Yes,
world?
the like in terms of the immortal realm itself, like because
Oh, I mean, I had a lot of driving through the whole Celestial Kingdom, but I think like one of my favorite parts is actually the Eastern Sea. And I think
yes,
I really love the sea.
yeah.
I really love like water and trying to imagine like how it would work and everything. I don't know if maybe some of you haven't read about it, but I don't think the spoilers much. But I had a lot of fun thinking about how their gardens might look there and how it might look under there. So that's a lot of fun to write. I also find it beautiful, but have a hidden part to it as well. I think those are so I don't think I can go into the specifics. It used to be beautiful that suddenly used to be. So,
Wait, Stu, I'm gonna stop you because like
yeah.
it's starting to cut out again now. It's starting to cut out
Oh
again
no. Okay.
at the back end.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good thing
yeah,
you stopped me. Just like
yeah.
wave at me.
Wait
And
a minute, wait a minute.
I also really liked writing about love, and
Mm,
the different parts of it. I really like writing about, the moment when the characters feel attraction or like
mhm.
first love. I also like writing about angst when they're angry at each other.
Oh yes. I love
Happens a
that.
fair bit. I mean,
Hey,
these are just parts
it's
that I
part of
enjoy.
I think it's always part of a relationship at that point. Like you can't always have the lovey-dovey part. There's always like the struggle,
Throwing stuff,
the angst.
pulling
Yes,
out swords and
some
arrows now.
sometimes you just like everyone will just talk already, just like let your heart out. But I agree with you. I think it's as well my favorite part of the Immortal Realm was this. I will make a note about it. It's like the friggin' girl file. It's like my
Don't tell
favorite.
the other ones.
Probably because we grew up like around the sea, so we always gravitated towards the sea. And then now
Yeah.
that's why when I live in Melbourne, like because I live in Melbourne now, I kind of missed it. It's not as pretty as back home.
Need to go back and visit more.
Yeah. So so now we're reaching like nearly the end. Before we wrap this up, I have a last question. In your opinion, as the author, why is this series a must read? Without spoiling anything for those who haven't read it.
Well, I think it's really hard to say what's a must read. I know readers are all different, and I know that what
Yes.
someone may love, someone may equally dislike. But um, what I hope people, will actually take away from the book, I hope it helps them. I mean, the world is quite difficult right now. I hope it helps them escape for a short while to, a different place, fantasy, somewhere that you feel warm and safe and happy. I hope that, some readers have reached out to say that reading the book has actually helped them in some way, and that always makes me feel so touched inside because I think the story, well, I've touched on this a little bit when I say that the story is a lot about love, different types of love
Mm.
as well, right? And a large part of it also is about hope and hope to not give up even when things are really bad. And a large part of that bringing because man, she goes through a lot.
Yes, I mean a lot. Again, like I say, it's just such a short like thing, and then it's just wow, what is going on?
And sometimes it's not things that nothing will ever like work out perfectly or anything, but it's just trying to do what you can with the best of what you can at a particular point.
Yeah, like
And I
resilience. Her resilience is just
and
amazing.
I hope that readers will also connect with the characters. Like, I love it when some people tell me like, oh, she feels like my best friend. And I'm like, oh my God. When they don't want bad things to happen to her or anything, right? So, well, I mean, that's just what I hope.
Yes, good point. Good point. It's like, yeah, I mean, that's, I think throughout you can see her struggle, her resilience, her fight, like not just for her mom, her mother, but also for herself, for those she loved. Like at at the start, she said, "Oh, I've got like I only have my mom. I've got other. I don't care about anything else other than my mom. Like I don't care what happens to me, but as long as I can do it for my mom, it's fine." But like you said, it's just not love for just like your typical romance, but it's also love for yourself, for your
Yes.
friends, for your family. I think it's always, especially in like as Asian as well, we always been instilled like, oh, your family first, family first, family first. It's always so entrenched in our society as well. It's always
That,
about
no,
family.
that is a point. And love for self, I think, is something that's really, really important, especially for so many of us that we're not used to thinking about ourselves first, right? Like, is this right for me, or is this am I comfortable with this? So I think that was really
Yeah, I think we just barely scraped it
important.
on not like spoiling anything. I didn't want to go anything further than that. I think
Sorry,
because
everyone, if
yeah,
we did.
no, I think we
Yeah.
haven't spilled. I think this is like I call it a teaser. Like oh, you should like the sprinkle of seasoning, so you should read more. So I think our time is like nearly done. Is there anything you would like to say, Sue, before we end this?
No, except that, honestly, seeing the publication of the books by Mizan Fantasy, when I saw the cover, the Daughter of the Moon Goddess cover, I was just like, oh my God. It
Yes,
was so beautiful. Seriously. I mean, like, and I shared it and all the readers fell in love with it as well. So just beautiful. And I just love them and the support that I felt also. And thank you all of you for being here, spending Saturday evening means a lot. And I'm so happy to will speak with you tonight.
but yeah, oh yeah, that cover. I think any edition I've seen of Daughter of the Moon Goddess series, it's beautiful, regardless of which edition, who published it. And again, I can't wait to have my Mise en Fantasy copy. I, and yes, and everyone's asking like, oh, hopefully Mise en Fantasy also published the 2.5, like the other one to complete the series. I read a couple people like asking like, oh, hopefully they also publish it. I was like, okay, me too. I hope so. So I think that's the end of our session here. I think yeah, our time is up. And I hope everyone had a great time. And again, Sulintan, everyone. Thank you for sharing too. And we cannot wait to hear great things from you.
Thank you so much. I had a really great time like chatting with you and everything. And yeah. It was so nice to talk to all of you.
Thank you so much, Sue. But before we end this, please, if you want to open your camera, please, we can take a picture. Yeah.
Oh no.
So we have like a 76 participant here, and so
Wow.
Oh,
friends.
wow.
Wow.
Okay, I will take. Okay, if you have the books, please show it to Sue. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm
Actually,
jealous now.
okay, so we have an pre-order, and we have like a special merchandise. Do you have any one of this that by the special order with the merchandise? Can you just please? No, not here. Okay, it's okay. Okay, let me take the picture. 1, 2, 3. Okay, next slide. So we have 3 slides. 1, 2, 3. Okay, the last one. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you so much once again, Sue, for
Thank
this
you all so much. It was
amazing
really fun.
evening. Teman-teman kalau ada yang mau open mic-nya juga boleh. Makasih kasih ke Sue. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you
Good
so
Bye-bye.
evening,
much.
See you
so
everybody.
much
Thank you. Thank you
for
so
your
much.
session.
Thank you, Sue.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Thank
you
you juga
for
Kak Ati.
creating.
Thank
For
you.
creating
Thank
it
you
with
so
Kak Titi.
much for
Take care, everyone.
Take care.
Thank you.
thank you so much.
Teman-teman kalau misalnya ada yang masih mau standby di sini mau ngobrolin silakan loh. Ada yang mau lanjut atau
Boleh nih, lanjut.
Kalau lanjut ngobrol nanti jadi
mumpung kita
spoiler.
kumpul. Ini Yuli mana ya
Susah
Yulinya?
untuk nggak jadi spoiler.
Biar nggak jadi spoiler ya.
Susah untuk nggak spoiler.
Jangan spoil.
Nanti ini
So hard.
kami akan coba upload dulu di YouTube-nya Nura Publishing ya. Mudah-mudahan nanti tadi karena sebagian kayaknya ada yang hilang-hilang suaranya ya di Su. Kalau dari aku kayaknya ada yang hilang-hilang. Jadi mungkin nanti takutnya ada yang kelewat. Nanti
Dan
mudah-mudahan.
kalau ada caption atau terjemahannya kayaknya akan sangat membantu sih Mbak. Kayak gitu karena
Oke, baik.
ya,
Nanti
mungkin-
kami akan coba.
Langsung oke, kita harus cari editor untuk captionnya.
Iya dan iya sama translation Indonesia yang mungkin ya biar lebih banyak yang bisa
lihat lagi ya.
memahami.
Oke.
Iya.
Baik, kayaknya ini mau di end aja hari ini. Nanti kita langsung ininya lagi di grup aja ya. Nanti aku akan kirimkan.
Bener nggak, Git?
Kenapa?
Karena tadi ngomongin si apa sih judulnya? The Celestial Kingdom ya?
Yang 2.5.
Iya, 2.5.
Itu lagi proses, jadi mungkin kalau mau nungguin Indonesia aja
Tunggu
masih
ya.
offer.
Oh, dapat gosip everyone. Ini lagi on the way. Jadi siapkan untuk ini ordernya.
Ini aku masih recordnya ditutup dulu ya. Langsung gitu. Stop dulu.